Welcome to Sensational Living with Liliana. I hope you guys have had a great week and had opportunities to create sensational moments in your life. Working out, feeling great afterwards, connecting with somebody and really feeling good about it. You always have to be in a state of gratitude just to recognize that everywhere you look there's sensational moments to be had. Today we're going to make a sensational fish taco. The beauty about this taco is that it's really low in carbohydrates. So this is a wonderful go-to meal. It's fast. It's great for people who have any kind of blood sugar issues, that have a compromised immune system. So really you can't go wrong with it. We're going to start by doing some grilled bell peppers, a little bit of jalapeno pepper, and some red onions. Now for those of you who don't like really hot spicy, then you can leave the jalapeno peppers out, but my family, as you know, I'm Mexican, we like a little spice to our food. So again, I always taste the jalapeno pepper just to make sure that it's not overpowering, because often they can be, or they cannot be hot at all, and then you can get a different kind of pepper that might have a little bit more bite to it. One of the things that I love about this meal is that it fits in with what we call a good food combining principle. I'm an advocate of food combining, and I have been for a very, very long time. Food combining principle actually was developed or established in the early 1900s, so it's nothing new. But it actually has been a cornerstone to many, many diets, including the popular Beverly Hills diet. The beauty about food combining is making sure that you put foods together that work really well for your digestion. So for those people who have a little bit more of a compromised gut, it's really great because it really helps you to digest your food so much better. The food combining principle is all about not putting two food groups together that complicate digestion. For example, the standard American diet is just that. You've got a burger and you've got a bun. And these two principles are completely contrary to actual digestion. Now, for example, when you have carbohydrates, any type of a starch, it starts digestion in the mouth. And most of it takes place in the salivary glands and the digestive enzymes, and then it moves down into the GI system. Now, unfortunately, protein, it digests with a different medium of hydrochloric acid. So you've got carbohydrates that need an alkaline medium, and then you have proteins that need a more acidic medium. So what happens is that they thwart the digestion, and foods end up staying a lot longer in the GI system than they should, creating gas and bloating and other GI disturbances. So one of the things for me is I've always been an advocate of good digestion, since I know that over 30% of the immunity is in your gut. Now, I always follow kind of the 80-20 principle, so there'll be times where, you know, I might have a little, smudging on some of the principles, but I always pay for it, and I always know why. So we're just going to go ahead and let these bell peppers grill a bit. I'm going to go ahead and throw these peppers in there. We'll get that going. I'll just set this off to the side there. Now, what I love is this wonderful spice, and actually I found it when I was on Kauai last summer, and it's called Organic Aloha Seafood Spice. It's awesome. The only thing is I've never found it in a store here, so you're going to have to go on the internet and you're going to have to order it from Amazon, but it will be a sure stay in your cupboard. We order 3 or 4 at a time. It's absolutely fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and prepare the fish, get that going. We're going to put about 2 tablespoons of this nice Aloha fish spice. And what's nice about it, not only is it organic, but it has so much flavor. I add just a little teeny bit more salt in it, just a tad, just because I don't know, maybe I'm a little salty person. I always say people who are adrenal driven, they crave salt a little bit more. So we're going to prepare this fish, get it all ready to go, but I'm going to make the guacamole and get all the side dishes together so that when the fish is done, we're ready to rock and roll. One of the things that I have to have in my life is the fact that I need fast, easy meals. Of course, you know, you always have to have the most important ingredient, which is love. And when you have to spend a lot of hours in the kitchen, sometimes love just kind of goes out the door because you're exhausted and tired. So don't forget the secret ingredient, which is so important. So I just sprayed just a little teeny bit of olive oil onto the fish, and so it's really nice because it allows me to, I don't have to put any egg or anything on it, any batter, which is really great. And all it is a wonderful rub, so it's just fantastic. And then I'm going to we're going to cook these up in just a second. So let me just get this going here. Now we're going to make some great guacamole. You know, guacamole, you can get really creative with guacamole. And so today you'll get my version of guacamole. And, but I've had it in so many different ways. Peruvian guacamole. I didn't really have too much guacamole when I was in Spain, but I've had it in most other countries and especially here as well. All right, so let's get this going here. I'm gonna need a little teeny bit more spice. We got our peppers going. So as you can see here, you know, it doesn't really take too much time, too much effort, too many ingredients, which is really nice. So we've got these coated nicely. I'm just gonna just set those over to a side for a second. Give myself a little rinse here with my fingers. I'm gonna turn up the heat a little bit so we can get this thing going here. Okay, now we're gonna make some guacamole. Everybody loves guacamole. I'm just going to set this here for a second. Now, a lot of people say, well, gosh, you know, how do you get the avocado out of the seed, out of the shell? Now, this is one of the vegetables or fruit, actually, that you don't have to buy organic because it has a thick shell on it. The bell peppers, you've got to buy them organic because they're considered part of the dirty dozen. So I always tell patients, you know, if you need to get away with not being able to buy all your food organic, then make sure that you at least get all of the foods that are thin skin so that the pesticide has not been able to penetrate through. Now I'm going to do, this is a very large avocado. Normally I would do two. We're just going to go ahead and do one here, just for the demonstration purposes. I've got this really nice little potato smasher that makes it really easy. Again, you can just use a fork if you don't have this, but this just makes it a little faster and gives it a nice even smash here, so you don't have any chunks in there at all. I used to use this for mashed potatoes, but since I don't eat mashed potatoes very often, then it becomes my avocado smasher. I do mashed potatoes, but actually I do it with cauliflower. And I throw it in the Cuisinart, and that's going to be one of the meals I'll present to you. You'll love it. You can use it actually this Thanksgiving, and nobody really will know the difference because it's so fantastic. Okay, so we've got this avocado mushed up pretty good here. I'm just going to take this little brown part out of it. I'm going to put some cilantro. Basically, I took a cup of cilantro, and I chopped it up quite fine, and it gave me about a half a cup because I want to use some of this also in the tacos on top of them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and use just about half of that. So really kind of just chopped up to about a half a cup. So just keep a half a cup out. This is basically just some spring onions here. I like spring onions. Sometimes you see this in guacamole. Sometimes you don't. You see the larger white onion. And a little bit of jalapeno pepper. Going to add that to it too. Now again, if you don't really like a whole lot of spice, then I would suggest you leave it out. But I like to have zing, the sensation in my mouth. And it's always fun. The more flavor you have in food, the more satisfied you'll actually be. The brain is looking for all of those sensations, and avocado is great because it's very creamy. It's a good essential fatty acid. So you feel full when you eat it, especially when you're doing a very low carbohydrate meal. In fact, the meal today is going to be maybe at the most, let's say maybe 12 carbohydrates. So this suits somebody that's on a cancer diet. This suits somebody who is on a prevention and or treatment of diabetes. This suits somebody who wants to lose weight. In fact, food combining principle is one of the best ways to lose weight. When I was pregnant in Bali, that's what I followed, was the food combining principle. And you know, from behind, I didn't even look pregnant. So really all I gained was baby weight. And the beauty about it is 3 weeks after I delivered, I lost all my pre-pregnancy weight, which was really fantastic. And really I attribute that to the fact that I kept my food very clean in a food combining principle manner. And so it's great. You'll see you actually lose weight just following the simple rules of not mixing protein with starches. Now, it's the starchy carbohydrates I'm talking about, potatoes and breads and pastas and rice and tortillas. That's why I'm not using tortillas here today. But there's a neutral carbohydrates that you can combine with any of the principles, whether they're starchy carbohydrates or protein. And those are all those vegetables that when you put in your mouth are slightly bitter. We call them the non-starchy carbohydrates. So those are fabulous. So we're going to be mixing some of those today with this meal. And so honestly, if you just, you know, said to yourself that you're going to have your protein and you're going to have a nice vegetable that's a non-starchy vegetable, and you're going to have as much salad as you want and protein, then you're really way on your way to a super healthy diet. And you want to lose weight, if that's one of the goals, it will be very easy. It'll just come off automatically. If you want to maintain your weight, you should be able to establish that with just by adding a little bit more fat into your diet. And so it serves all purposes. So we got this looking pretty good now. I'm going to, I put in, I would say the equivalent, these were little teeny limes, so I have quite a few in here. So I would say the equivalent of about 2 to 3 limes. I like mine very, very zesty. Oftentimes when I go to restaurants, that's the first thing I do is I ask them for some more lemon or lime to put onto the guacamole because it never seems to have enough zing for me. So again, you can correct the seasoning here. I'm going to put some salt. I like using garlic powder. Oftentimes I'll just put fresh garlic as well. And I like to have a little bit of salt here. So, of course, as I said before, taste it so you don't oversalt it because a lot of people, you know, have their requirements and don't like a whole lot of salt, so you can always add more salt as we go along. All right, so this looks pretty fantastic. So you see here, it's very, very quick to make. It's colorful, it's beautiful. It's going to have a little bite to it with the jalapeno pepper in it, a little zest with a lot of the lime in there, some salt, some garlic powder, and we're going to just set that over to the side. Okay, these peppers are looking good. We're going to go ahead and make a chipotle mayonnaise. Now, I love a good mayonnaise, so I make my mayonnaise myself. It's so easy, but we're going to save that for another video. You'll see how easy it is. You can use it with salad dressings. I like to make sauces on vegetables, but that extra fat really gives sensation to the brain and very pleasing and very satisfying. So I've got about half a cup of mayonnaise here. I'm going to put some chipotle chili. And I know one thing I forgot in the refrigerator, which I'm going to grab in just a second, is some sriracha sauce. So I give it a little swirl here. I'm going to put just a teeny bit of lemon on there. Just a tad, not too much. I don't want to overwhelm it. And this is great. I call it my little secret sauce because it just gives it that extra sensation when you bite into the crispy taco. Now, I think I said crispy, so you think, how can I have crispy without a crispy tortilla? Well, you'll see. So I'm going to go walk over to my refrigerator, so I'll be right back. You can kind of keep your eye on my bell pepper, make sure they don't burn. Okay, so I'd say approximately about half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of some sriracha. Gives it a beautiful color. Okay, it's fantastic. You can't go wrong with this. I use it on turkey burgers or beef burgers or lamb burgers. It's just fantastic. I do Brussels sprouts and use it for that as well. But again, there's nothing more pleasing to the brain than fat, since our brain is about 80% fat. I'm just going to go ahead and set that to the side. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start these fish tacos. So you can see how quick and easy this is. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time, but guess what? You have to have all the ingredients in the refrigerator. So you got to go shopping. I shop several times a week. As I said before, some people love shopping for clothes. I do too, but I really love shopping for food because it makes me have imagination of, you know, what I might make with those things or what's in season. I don't ever buy anything that's not organic. So guess what? If I'm looking for green beans and they don't happen to have them where I'm looking and shopping, I just don't have green beans at that meal. So I kind of, you know, try to eat as much with the seasons as possible just to get the most nutrition out of my food. But at the same time, we're very fortunate in this country that we have a variety of most anything we want at our fingertips. I put about 3 tablespoons of some walnut oil. I like using walnut oil or avocado oil or coconut oil. I'm going to go ahead and turn these off now and let them just simmer here. We don't want them to get too caramelized, but that looks really yummy. Okay. Now, the one thing about the food combining principle is that you don't want to mix fruit with any of the other food groups. You can mix fruit with nuts and seeds. You can actually mix fruit with dairy like yogurt as well. But with protein, you don't want to mix fruit with it. And with starchy carbohydrates like a potato, you don't want to mix fruit. And how often do we use fruit as our dessert? And how often do we feel gassy and bloated after we do that as well? So I always tell patients that since fruit is a food that really is great for detoxification, I love to have fruit first thing in the morning when I wake up on an empty stomach. It takes about 30 minutes for fruit to empty out of the GI system into the small intestine. So I tell patients, if you're going to have a good properly combined meal and you want to have a little bit of fresh fruit in the morning, have that first thing. And then about 30 minutes later, have your couple of poached eggs with some avocado, some sliced tomato, and you're looking pretty good. I usually use my fruit in the morning with a smoothie. I don't really do it mid-afternoon, but if patients want to have a mid-afternoon half of apple with a little bit of almond butter on it, they can do that as well, which will mix well. So fruit doesn't go with any other food group except for nuts and some dairy. Protein and heavy starch does not go well together. So that is your burger and your bun, or your pasta with meat sauce and bread. Those are a disaster for the GI system. And it's really not that difficult, but God, you feel really fantastic afterwards in regards of how your digestion is expressing itself. All right, so I think we got this oil good. Now, you notice I'm not putting a ton of oil because I don't want to fry my food. I just want to give it a crispness to the outside. And this is going to cook very, very quickly. You'll see how quickly this cooks, which is nice because, again, we don't need to spend a whole lot of time in the kitchen. Set that aside. Okay, let's get a little of this stuff out of the way. Kind of try to, get it so it's evenly moving here. So just keep your eye on that for me. I'm going to go and get another spatula. I want one that's got a little metal to it. Now you can use any white fish, sea bass, you could use halibut, you could use, I don't like using a really thin fish, like I wouldn't use Dover sole, so cod, this is actually cod, so any of the white fishes are good. Actually, I got this at Trader Joe's. It's wild Alaskan cod, it's very inexpensive, so really you can go to Trader Joe's, you can go to Costco. They've got wonderful frozen wild-caught fish. I do not do any kind of fish that is not wild-caught. So, unfortunately, most of the tilapia is farm-raised, so I don't eat much of that ever. So we just give it a second to give it a nice crisp edge. We've got our bell peppers, we've got our guacamole, and pretty soon you're going to see how sensational this meal is. In just, less than 30 minutes, which makes it really, really nice. Now also, if there's any topics that you would like to have me talk about, or any recipes that are your favorite that you'd like me to convert into a very low carbohydrate, modified ketogenic meal, just send me a little email and I will try to create that very meal just for you. And if you like this video and what we have been doing, please share it with your friends. My goal is to get out to as many people as I can to teach them that you can have a lot of flavor and you can really make a lateral shift to having those foods that you have an emotional connection with, like tacos, the crisp aspect of it and all, without having the excessive amount of carbohydrates, the excessive amount of weight gain, and or if you're in a therapy program, have to just give up those foods that you really, really love. And we don't want to have that. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and flip these over. Got a nice little crisp there. So once I get a nice crisp edge on it, I'm just going to turn it down just a little tad. There's nothing worse than a fish that is dried out. So I'm going to make sure I turn that down just a tad. Now today when I was walking out of the gym, I thought, feels so good to just move my body and to just recognize, and give myself a pat on the back and say, yes, this is one of those moments where I've got to just say, good job, because sometimes who else is going to do that for you to keep you motivated? And so really, pay attention to be kind to yourself, and when you do things like looking up at the stars, and it's an absolutely extraordinary moment. Just, you know, take that, imprint it, and just know that you've created a sensational moment, a snapshot in time, a little memory that you could put back here in I feel good. Tell my patients that there's nothing more healing than the sensation of feeling good. And just to connect the dots in regards to, it's my choice on how I do feel, and it's through that filter in which we perceive life that creates our reality. And so when we're experiencing things that are really not that pleasant, then we need to just take a good look at, are they really real to us, or is this just a knee-jerk reaction of a filter that I've been living my life through for a very long time that's a habit. And so this is one of the things I like to teach my patients, is to get really connected to, you know, what it is they want and what is blocking them. And so we do a lot of emotional work, and it's really a lot of fun, and it makes a huge difference in their success and in their recovery of all illnesses. I do a really cool machine called the EVOX machine, and it's really cool because it's like emotional acupuncture, and it's a voice mapping, so you're able to, a patient wears a little microphone and it maps out their emotional congestion, and I'm able to share with the patient what I see. Oftentimes patient will say, oh my gosh, you know, how do you know that? How do you know that about me? And I said, well, I don't know that about you. Your body is telling me. Your body never lies. Just like when you eat a really good meal, your body never lies, meaning that if I've eaten something that is actually beneficial to me, I feel good. I don't feel sleepy. I don't have any GI upset, and everything seems to be a-okay happy. But when I eat something and I fall asleep, or gosh, I have to put a couple of pillows up behind my bed to go to sleep because my digestion is all thwarted, then obviously that meal is going to zap your energy. It's going to make you feel more fatigued, and you'll have less of what you really want. So I'm going to look, I just turned them down just a tad so that we can kind of just let them cook a little bit. Now, this is just a little bonus here, and this is what I love these, because usually when you go out to dinner, you've got bread and butter, and you know, you're always trying to, like, oh gosh, you know, don't have that, don't have that. So it's nice to be able to have something. And so one of the things we do in Mexico a lot is we serve this little appetizer, which is really great. And I have jicama and cucumber and carrots. Now, I'm not opposed to carbohydrates that are a little higher in sugar, so carrots would be one of them. But I've got one carrot in here, which is approximately going to be 7 carbohydrates, and the jicama and the cucumber are very low. So adding to this super low carbohydrate meal, just squirted all over me, it's really nice because you can have something that you've got a lot of crunch, so that when you have leftover guacamole, you can use this instead of running for those chips. And those chips seem to, got a little lemon juice on me. Those chips can jump out of the cupboard when you least expect them, especially when you've got that little extra guacamole on the table. So I just put some lemon there. I'm going to add a little touch of cayenne in here. Again, I'm all about zing, and so just a little bit goes a long way. So I'm just going to put my knife in there and just kind of coat it there. Just a teeny bit, not too much. And then I'm going to add some salt. This is a Celtic salt. I only use good salt so that it actually serves as a purpose to my sodium-potassium pump. Okay, so this is really nice. So oftentimes I might serve this just as a little appetizer before people are getting ready to eat their meal, so that they have a little something to snack on rather than the traditional chips and guacamole that people most often serve. And of course, nobody likes chips more than me, obviously. But at the same time, you know, I am very conscious of, you know, how much should I be eating, how often should I be eating them, and enjoy them when I do eat them. So I just got a little lemon juice on here, a little salt on here, a little bit of cayenne on here. This is even a great snack if you're watching TV and you're looking for that crunch, because many people want popcorn, but they also, not only the popcorn, they want the crunch to it. I tell patients when they want salty, crunchy foods, it's usually because they're stressed out. They want to bite down on something, and the adrenals, they need that little extra salt to give them the energy. And so if you find yourself looking for salty, crunchy, this is a great go-to little snack and or adds to this meal. All right, so I think we're about ready to put this meal together, so you'll see how absolutely fabulous this is. All right, I'm going to set this over to the side. Now, I've got 2 types of lettuces here, and one is iceberg lettuce. Now, don't make your nose all scrunch and say, oh my gosh, iceberg lettuce has no nutrition qualities whatsoever. And you're right, it doesn't. I would never use this for a salad, but what I like about it, it's thick. And so for me, I want to be able to pick up my taco. I want to hold it in my hand. I don't want it to fall apart. And so, you know, you take a choice to see what you like better. Again, I'm looking for the sensational crunch. And so here's butterleaf lettuce. Butterleaf lettuce is not going to give me the sensation that I'm looking for, that I would be missing out of a crispy tortilla. And so again, you can take your choice of what you would like to have. All right. So usually what I just do is I cut these right down the middle. So you just see how nice they are. They're still beautiful. They didn't overcook, but we got a nice crisp to them on each side. And I'm just going to set that right down in the middle there. It's going to be yummy. And this is one of my husband's favorite. He says, who needs tortilla when you can eat like this every day? He's so excited. Not only does my family have an endless supply of tequila, since my sister is the partida tequila, but we also have an unsupply of superior healthy food because all of us love to cook. So I'm going to take a little bit of these bell peppers and jalapeno and red onions that I put in here, and I'm just going to put them on top. And again, usually I put this at the table and I let everybody kind of make their own, and then that way they can use what they like. If they want to pick out something, they can do that. I just threw this little bit of chili in here. This is just a little bit of pico de gallo. Really easy to make, but with time constraints, we'll do that another time. But again, you can just add that in there. Okay, and then I'm going to put some of these on here so that when we have our little extra guacamole, in fact, I'm going to get that guacamole on this plate right now. Okay, so let's serve up this nice guacamole here. Everybody loves guacamole, so always make enough that you can really enjoy this. All right, let's go ahead and put these little crispies in the middle. And again, you know, everybody likes a little sweet, so if you add a little color, it's nice. You got the greens, the reds, the nice purple with the onions there, and it's really, really nice. Love jicama. Got a lot of crunch to this. All right, now let's add our secret sauce. So this is awesome. You are going to love this sauce. And so again, I just put a little generous amount on there. I set this on the table because everybody seems to come back for some more. Okay. So there you have it. Less than 30 minutes. It's absolutely fantastic. You will absolutely love it. It will be your go-to meal. And if you've got all the ingredients, in 30 minutes, you're going to be sitting and eating and really enjoying it. So again, if you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends. Sign up for Facebook for me. And I'll see you guys next week. Have a sensational day.